Film Club.
Thank you very much for joining us for an episode of Film Club. I am one of your hosts, Andy Harrison, and with me, as always, it's Andy Donaldson.
Hello.
Andy, we are here once again this week to take a look at a John Carpenter film. We're taking a look at Big Trouble in Little China. Last week we took a look at They Live, which is Big Trouble in Little China precedes They Live by, I think, 2 films. He did Big Trouble in Little China. He went and did the film I can't remember the name of, Prince of Darkness, and then he went and did They Live. And obviously in that transitional period, he kind of left the Hollywood system a little bit. Big Trouble in Little China was kind of the one that pushed him away from the Hollywood system and instead put him into a more independent production arena. And it's a film that I think has a big identity. It's one that he obviously had a lot of heart and a lot of soul put into it. But I'm very curious after last week's run-in with They Live about how you feel about this.
Well, obviously I hated last week, didn't I? So it's kind of obvious that this week I absolutely loved it.
Hey, okay.
Right, mate, this is everything I wanted in They Live.
What changed?
A lovable main character. I was thinking about this quite a while. The thing is, you look at the start of the film, they have that incredible scene where it's not incredible, but it's a lovely scene, sorry, let's say, where it's the guy, the truck driver, and his the bus driver, sorry, and his lawyer. And he's all about this happened. Yeah, you leave Jack Burton alone. You know, does magic exist? And it's almost like exposition, but in a very kind of like cool way, kind of like prefacing the film with saying, this is what's going to happen and it's going to be awesome. And he does the magic and then he's just blown into...
It kind of like, it builds it to sort of like a mythological level. It makes what you're about to watch feel like a myth.
And then obviously you're introduced to Jack Burton, and straight away, you know, this is kind of comedy, this is kind of like spoof, this is cliche, and this isn't just coming back off They Live. That kind of persona that in that intro scene when he's talking his walkie-talkie to whomever, he's like kind of later throughout the film, like all the comedy in this film mainly revolves around him just being an idiot. Mate, I was laughing so much through this. Simple things like when they're swapping weapons, he's like, you have that, and then the guy with the pistol goes, no, I want the shotgun, you pass it back. And I was just like, didn't need to do that at all, didn't need to do that, but it was like subtle as hell, and I loved it. When he gets his knife out and it flies straight away and he just and then it goes far away. It's when he throws a knife, it hits the gong, and he just look at his face, and he look at the woman that he likes, and she's like, what you doing? He's like, I don't know. And then when he shoots the ceiling and it falls on his head. Yeah, exactly. And he shoots the ceiling and it falls on his head. I was crying with laughter. It's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant.
Maybe the funniest thing I found in this film was when he gets stuck under he knifes the guy from his boot.
Oh God!
As he leans over him and he gets stuck underneath him for like a good couple of minutes. He just keeps spitting back to him and he's stuck. It's just brilliant.
Like all the scenes he gets ready to fight, and then his mate, what's he called, Wang Chi, his mate, he fights them all, and he's like ready, and they're all dead. He's like, all right, okay. As soon as he's ready to fight, they're all dead. It's almost like I don't know. I feel like Kurt Russell was made for this role.
Yeah. Well, this is also, I think, one of the structurally, the film is kind of underhanded in the way it handles comedy a little bit, because there's an argument to be made that Wang Chi is actually the main character of this. The story's about him, it's about his culture, it's about where he's from, it's about the girl who he was at the airport to meet, and that Jack Burton just kind of gets pulled into it, and a lot of the time, he's not the one pushing the plot forward. In fact, there's a moment where he says, I'm starting to feel like an outsider, and she's like, yeah, you are. And they carry on having a conversation. It's almost the kind of the running joke is that Kurt Russell is actually like the sidekick of the film.
But it's like a sidekick perspective. I'm fully on board with that, Andy. Like honestly, like that. I like this because you look at the way he goes about, and he's like, it's this world. And he's like, no, I want to know more. I want to know more. He's like, all these folklore, this magic, it does exist, you know. And he goes, I'm Chinese, and I don't want it to exist, but it does exist, sort of thing. Dennis Dunn, who plays Wang Chi, he's fantastic as well. I absolutely love. And it's from like one of the start scenes when they're gambling together. I absolutely love their chemistry and how they are together and how like they've got this lovely little friendship. But I really got Princess Bride vibes from this, and I know it sounds weird.
Oh no, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. It's sort of like irreverent. It's sort of over the top. It's a little bit excess, and it's kind of asking you to play in the realm of like fantasy and mythology. And I can get more of that.
Like tongue in cheek.
This is thoroughly tongue in cheek. This is a film that kind of it wants to have a fun sort of adventure romp, but also it's going to constantly take the mick out of itself. Like right at the end, I think a prime example is one of the few sort of like enemies standing in their way. He explodes from anger. Like the there's obviously this is iconic shot of some of the aesthetics, the prosthetics that we use to create the creature, the sort of like swelled up guy right before he bursts with the steam coming out of his nose. But it's eyes, that level of like borderline cartoon physics.
Music in this film. This soundtrack is fucking awesome. This soundtrack, like last week when you said John Carpenter, really helps make like the image of an 80s kind of movie. It's instilled in this soundtrack, like all those incredible tones. Did not know, right? And this is I was chilling at the end. It's not normally I watch the credits of a movie right to the very end. I did this because that song Big Trouble in Little China is done by Carpenter and his band, and I was just like, what? He's got a band? And he's like, yeah. So I started like doing loads of research about a little bit of research about that. Alan Haworth, sorry, is a long-time collaborator, and oh Christ, what is it's the Coupe de Villes. So there's 3 of them anyway, and they've got a music video, and I was in the middle of watching that before we started this call, so straight back on that when I finish. Honestly, everything about this film I loved.
I mean, the music's absolutely fantastic, especially I think just like They Live, that opening theme just hits you in the face, and what it does is it makes the music overt, and it makes the music a part of the cinematic experience more than like your sort of traditional orchestral music would. It's in your face, it's intense, it's obviously heavily 80s, but it says a lot about the character and the story to come as well.
Exactly, yeah. Like the music like paves the way for like essentially what we know as 80s kind of music, that kind of tone, that just kind of like cheeky synth kind of sound.
And there's a lot that can be said with like that sort of music alongside, you know, a 6-wheel truck barreling down a sort of a rain-drenched road at night. There's a lot that kind of can be said about the character and the story that you're about to kind of get pushed into. What that then goes on to do, which is one of my favorite sort of like visual metaphors of the film, is having that big 6-wheel truck like barreling down Little China and squeezing its way down the sort of
down the alleyways,
little back alleys, and you go, oh my god, this is a perfect representation of like this sort of silly machismo, over the top American nature barring into a world that he just doesn't understand. A couple weird things for me. I don't think I'm on board with the casting for what's she called? Miao Yin.
The one that comes on the airplane, the initial Green Eyes lady.
So it's a little weird to cast somebody who's meant to be from China, and she's obviously looks very Western.
Yeah, I straight away I knew that. I looked it up and then I was just like, come on, casting choice.
She's played by Susie Pye. But another weird element, there's that shot later on in the film towards the end where we get a close-up on her eyes, and to have a plot point be about why she has green eyes, and she clearly doesn't have natural green eyes.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Some of the effects are quite comical in this film. Some of them are quite dated. Some of them are just like a mix of both. Did he? I actually like him. Like all the Raiden effects with the lightning going up and stuff. I love it because it's that kind of.
I think it's super
the
cool.
cheesiness comes with it. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly. It's embracing the technology of the time. It's part of the reason I love people like David Lynch. It's like I couldn't give a flying fudge, you know, how good your effects are at a certain point. As long as they are,
fuck, but he's trying to tone it down.
As long as they are charming and they get the job done, then cool. You know, let's roll with that. But Carpenter, he was working on quite a small budget, as he always kind of was for this sort of film, especially for the effects. And as far as I'm aware, he's happy with how the film turned out, but not exactly thrilled with how the effects ended up.
Well, I love it, mate. I love it. And I especially love how this essentially created a character. You look at Mortal Kombat nowadays, the character Raiden, this has come from this film. It is like, not many times you can say I made a film that like spawned created a character that's like quite famous in game history. Awesome. Absolutely. I love this, mate. I really love this. I
think that Big Trouble in Little China is a fundamentally enjoyable film. It's fun, it's silly, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it also achieves a lot within the boundaries it sets for itself. Tons of fun. Go into it and have a blast.
It tells a great story, and it does it really well, and with a load of style and a load of humour.
There is Big Trouble in Little China. You can let us know in the comments below what you thought of Big Trouble in Little China, or you can hit us up on Twitter, as always. But Andy and I are going to be back once again next week, where we take a look at Amelie.
Je t'aime.
Until then, get watching.
Bye. Au revoir.